All right. Let's do it. Okay. So show me inside.
Yeah, come on
what's
inside.
going
Come on.
here?
Let's see.
This is
So,
amazing.
we're in Williamsburg, Brooklyn,
Okay.
and you're sitting in a Lotus Bell tent
Okay.
in the historic Domino Sugar Factory. And this is a creative project that my wife and I have just launched. I think you're the fourth person to see it.
Wow. So how did you guys find this spot, or why did you pick this spot?
We've been watching this building get rebuilt for 5 years, kind of eyeballing
So you had your
it.
eye on it.
Had our eye on it,
Okay.
and it you can tell if you see it from the outside, this beautiful historic brick facade, modern glass building inserted in the middle, that it was just going to be a very special place in New York City. And so we rented 2,000 square feet to turn it into a gallery for my wife's fine art, and then for my creative experiments related to leadership development.
So tell me more about the creative things that you do. I
Yeah.
hate this question. It's like, oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll try to give you a short answer. The first part of my career was leading a creative agency. So I had 100 full-time employees, another 150 contractors, sold it to a public company, had all the 35 of the Fortune 500 as clients. So the business of creativity was literally like what I was in all day, every day. And my wife was the same. She was the CEO of a creative agency. We made a shift through the pandemic. I sold my business, she closed her business, and now she's a fine artist, to spend our time exclusively focused on creativity for creativity's sake.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's a
there's
total
nothing
privilege.
better, right?
It's a total privilege. But also, what we're seeing is that when we create beautiful things, it has a real impact on people.
Yeah.
We need beauty.
Wow. So what for you, when you say creative things, what lights your fire? You know,
You're
what?
sitting in it.
Yeah, this is
You're
so.
sitting in it.
This is so you create the environments that you create.
Yeah, so I'm much more of an experience designer and an environmental designer at this time. And that's because I'm very focused on how can I help people change and grow based on what they experience. So I do executive coaching and retreats and workshops and all this stuff. So I'm just like, how will the physical environment change someone's nervous system?
It's huge. I mean, it's cozy in here.
It is.
It's very like grounding,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
know you have all these things. How do these help as well, I guess, in here? What do you use?
Yeah. So this space is not even really set up yet. Like the video, you're
Really?
seeing like a hodgepodge of cushions.
So what else would you do in here? I mean,
Well, there's gonna be a whole bunch of other things over
More
the next
pillows.
week that I'll lay out. You're seeing the earliest beta of this.
Okay.
So you can imagine 8 founders and CEOs sitting together in a circle, and instead of sitting around a boardroom table,
Yeah.
we're sitting in here. I don't know. Are we in New York? Or are we?
we could
Where
be
are
anywhere.
we? Where are we?
Bali?
So yeah. So will we have different ideas? Will we think of ourselves differently? Will we let go of certain conceptions we have? When I do workshops with CEOs and their executive teams, the CEO sits at the head of the table.
Yeah.
Where's the head of the table here?
Yeah.
There won't be. So
I love that.
you talked about some objects here. Simple Tibetan singing bowl. Ring this 3 times and start a period of zazen. So seated Zen meditation, helping people learn what being fully present and still can do for them in this time of unstillness and lack of attention. So these little things help with that. These are clappers. So when you do walking meditation, so usually the instruction is, at the sound of the clapper, begin walking as slowly as you've ever walked in your entire
When
life.
you're doing a walk.
Yeah.
Oh, so not fast.
Not fast. The slowest you can.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I could try.
It's fast. It's fun.
I like to
Yeah.
get in the motion. How about incense? What kind of incense? I saw this. What do you burn? I'm curious because
yeah.
I like incense.
First, only Japanese incense that is pure. I know that sounds, I don't know. Because the incense we usually get has some impurities, could be heavy metals, could be all sorts of other stuff. So I'd like to get Japanese incense that's just pure, the bark of certain wood, or otherwise aloe wood is a wood I really love and I love the scent of. And so when you offer it, right, you light it and you offer the incense, you're not offering it to any deity or any god or anything. It's an offering, think of it as like to your highest self. So in that moment, I'm getting present with like what is my highest and best self? What am I working on? You know, we're also,
There's always something brewing. Every creative, you were asking me that earlier, like, what do I have? And I'm like, oh, you know, I play calling nothing.
Yeah.
But there's always these little seeds, right? Of like, this is it. And I kind of sit with it for a while. Do you do the same? And you kind of let it, you know?
well, that's the beauty of seeds.
Yeah.
So I germinate about 700 plants in our greenhouse in East Hampton every season,
Yeah,
and
same idea.
they don't all come up at the same pace. Right? So we don't know, like, when are these seeds really going to start
They
sprouting?
ever come out?
And when they
Well,
start
I don't know.
sprouting,
Yeah.
you see one that's really vigorous.
Yeah.
You're like, ah,
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Or the ones, it's interesting, the one that we were just talking about, the Emmy one, so many people were like, don't do this. And I was like, no, but it keeps not, you know, it's that idea that's like, it just never goes away.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what, if I don't do this, it's like you have to.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times when you have that feeling, it's like that need, you just can't let it go, that you have to, and then you find out why, I guess.
I totally resonate with that, and I have a key learning about this from last year. So I started a festival called Spirituality Week with a co-founder, my buddy Ross. And it was an idea that couldn't go away. It was just like,
Okay.
oh, we
It's
should
annoying
start
almost,
a 10-day
right?
festival in New York City for spiritual practices and meditation, breathwork, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I realized that it would never go away, so I need to bring it to life, but it doesn't mean I have to run it going forward.
Right.
So we positioned it so that he would be the CEO of the organization. He would
He would
take it
take
forward.
on, yeah.
I have this awesome 0 to 1 energy, and not everyone has that. That's a really hard thing to do. And so getting that up and out, and I'm like, okay, now I don't have to run it. And I think a lot of creative people get stopped because they feel like, oh, well, if I do this, then I've got to keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I do that with producing now a lot,
Yeah.
I feel like, because in the beginning I was like, I'm going to do all of it, and it was just too much. I'm like, it's a collaborative effort, and the people that have the energy, I'm like, let them run with it. You know, do a little bit, help them get it started. It seems like a little bit like what you do too.
100%.
And then
Yeah.
you let them take the energy. Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to
Yeah.
be the father of many idea babies and not have to
Yeah.
raise them all.
Yeah. So what's next for here? Like you mentioned, you do these. What else? What are these? Can you, if I don't want to talk about any of your little seeds that might be brewing. Yeah. What?
Yeah. Well, you don't see the setup in here
Ideas,
yet, but I'm going to do some, I would say formal tea ceremony in here, but compared to what actual formal tea ceremony is, it'll be informal.
Oh.
So there's some very fancy, beautiful teacups in the kitchenette over there.
I have those.
And I'll do these like 3 to 4 hour tea sessions that can be very intense and catalyze real breakthroughs for leaders. And I'll just give you the simplest
Really?
example.
This is cool.
Simplest example.
I haven't. Is this a new thing that you've kind
It's
of?
new for me.
Because I know about tea ceremonies.
A tea
But I
ceremony's
don't know
ancient.
about them really. I mean, going for hours and
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Okay. Go
So my training is in Japanese chado, right? So that's formal tea ceremony. I won't be doing that. I have kind of my own way, which is just less formal. So 8 people sitting around a tea table, or 6 or whatever number. And this past August, a buddy of mine who's a founder and CEO of a company, sitting across from me at the tea table. And every once in a while, I'll open up the space for a question. And I'll say, does anyone have a question for the tea master? It's kind of weird to reference
That's
yourself in the third
cool.
person, but
The tea master.
anyone have,
But that's
yeah,
cool.
you want to make it a little
You have
theatrical.
you have to have fun
Yeah,
with it.
it's theater.
It's just having fun. Hey, I
It's
get
theater.
that. I understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And so he bows in and says,
The sensei.
yeah, he bows in and says, how do I know if I'm on the right path?
The synchronicities.
So I say, well, how do you know when you're on the wrong path?
Ooh, the
And he says, oh, when, it doesn't feel like it's within my values. And I said, okay, how do you know when you're on the wrong path? And he says, when I have this feeling in my stomach. And I say, okay, how do you know when you're on the wrong path? I ask it 10 times. He gives me 10 answers. And I say, is it okay if I slap you really hard across the face?
Whoa. And what did he
And
say?
he said, yeah. And I go,
Oh! This
And
is like
everyone
an
at the
acting class. I feel
anyone
like
at the table's like,
Oh.
and I said, how do you know when you're on the wrong path?
Yeah.
And he leans and goes, I'm never on the wrong path.
Oh, it's all a learning
And I said, thank you.
experience. Even if you take the wrong turn, it's going to help you back into.
Yes.
That's.
So tea can be that. It can be,
Wow.
we're focused on a very intense and specific question, and we need a breakthrough moment. Now, I don't want to slap people. That's not the goal. But
No,
in
but
that
that's
moment,
it.
he's a good buddy, and I know he'd be receptive to it. So I asked permission, and he, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
which changed his mind.
That's awesome. That's
Changed his mind.
I'm never lost for words, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people are so scared. They're so afraid of making the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And I've been reading a lot about this lately, and it's like,
Yeah.
so a lot of times if you just start making a choice, you're like, okay, this isn't right. Or you get that feeling. And it's that intuition. I'm obsessed with intuition on my podcast. And a lot of people are like, well, how do you, actually Andrew and I both, we're big on gut feeling and intuition with making business decisions.
Yeah.
You know, how do you improve on that? How do you make that stronger?
Yeah.
Is it your energy, your vibe?
Yeah.
What do you
Famous
do?
lines from probably several Zen teachers, but sit down and shut up.
Yeah,
Full stop. Like
Yeah.
sit, find stillness.
I agree. Yeah.
And when you find that, this gut, this whatever it is that you're tuning into is so much easier to hear. But if we're moving around and we're talking all the time or reading too much, we're scrolling on our phone so much, like I can't even hear my gut.
Yeah.
So just like sit down and shut up.
I love that. Now, when I need to, if I have like some crazy stuff going on in my life, or I have to, think about a decision, I'll go to I call it the woods. It's like, where it's our farm property, and it's just quiet. There's not, you hear some animals, you hear, the important things, but it's so, and then I usually leave there like, okay, everything makes sense when I leave there, What's that place for you?
Well,
Can it be here?
well,
Can it be anywhere?
Well, it could be here, but we live in East Hampton most of the time, which is a very beautiful beach town in the East End of Long Island, and beautiful estate. And in there is this half-acre vegetable garden. So I mentioned germinating seeds. So when I'm in the veggie garden and I'm like pruning the tomatoes, something happens where it's not me pruning the tomatoes. It's I'm now a part of a continuum of tomato-ness. I know it's a little woo-woo maybe. The bees and I, then the tomato blossoms are all in coordination in real time, and I'm no longer there. I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I didn't realize my coworker was the bee.
That's so cool. I've never thought about it from that perspective.
So can I lose myself out there for a bit?
Yeah.
And I lose myself for hours. I usually start in the garden probably around 5 a.m.
Okay.
And I don't go in the house until about noon when I come in for
So
lunch.
you're a hardcore gardener out there.
Hardcore.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon, maybe I'll do computer stuff if I need to. But I want to be outside
That's
in
the
nature,
start of the
fully in
day.
sync before anything else.
Yeah, well, that's the best way. It's the only way. I feel like everyone should do it, but
If they can. It's not
it doesn't
not
have
so
to
easy.
be out there. You can
Yeah.
just go outside, like even here in New York City, just going outside and like Central Park, you were talking about, any park.
So I've lived in New York
Stillness.
on and off for almost 20 years, and every single day I've got to go to Domino Sugar Park, or I've got to go to Central Park, or I've got to go to Prospect Park. Like, I don't know how you survive life in a city without that deep nature connection. And people do. It's just that their nervous systems are screwed. Like, they're
Not
anxious,
regulated.
they're depressed, they're not regulated. So I just would hope anyone listening to this, if you're not getting enough nature time, just like make
Yeah.
that a deep part of your practice in 2025. It's so important.
100%. It's the most important thing. One other thing I want to touch on is Burning Man. We were talking about.
Of course,
this.
we're sitting
Tell
in a
me more,
Moroccan
'cause
style
I mean,
tea tent.
Okay, so this is, what is it about the lotus bell? This is
Yeah.
a yurt, what I would call a yurt,
Yeah.
but, and you called it what was it, a bell?
It's a lotus bell tent.
A bell tent, okay. So there are a lot of these, I would imagine, at Burning Man. How does one get to Burning Man? I mean, I can't believe I've never been. It's kind of silly, but go ahead. What's
Well,
the deal?
ideally you know someone that goes,
Yeah.
and ideally, we're buddies. So my camp probably makes sense for you, and you would meet a lot of people that you'd probably vibe with, creative people, producers, people in media, entrepreneurship, etc.
Creatives,
So it's
anyone
important,
creative,
creatives and artists and entrepreneurs. So it's important to find a camp that sort of are your people. And it turns out people find true chosen family that way. Like, camps are not just something you visit, it's something you contribute to, it's something that you build over the years. These are people you want to see all the time.
It's like your family.
It is like your family. That's why leaving Burning Man can be very hard for people. Like, when it's over each year, it's like, oh my God, these are the people I want to be with
It's
all
like
the
being
time.
on set. I go through that every time we're done with a movie, like
Exactly.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And we stay in touch. Like it's actually out right now, the Christmas Couples Retreat movie, but like a lot of us are still best friends. We stay in contact, and but when it's over, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's kind of depressing in a little
Yeah.
bit. And you
So
have to-
there's an integration period people have. It's called
Yeah.
decompression. So
Okay.
you've had this peak experience, and now like the next couple weeks, you actually have to kind of go gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
People go through a lot in a
Yeah.
great way.
It's like coming off tour or something.
I think
It's the
so.
same thing.
So I encourage people to try to find someone that goes, try to find a camp that sort of fits your vibe. I would just go. Like if you're even curious, just go.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Though there's a lot of preparation.
I need the outfit. I mean, I'd have to.
You need the outfits.
I
outfits,
live for
the
events.
gear.
The gear,
Yeah.
like, everything. But
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we look at your wife's paintings?
Of course we can.
Because I'm a big art fan. So let's
Yeah.
let's go out
Let's
here.
go out there.
I'm gonna bring my tea.
All right. So
And my phone.
Nicole started out as a photographer, became the CEO of a creative agency she founded. These are not paintings.
Oh.
These are photographs that are printed on velvet and then hand embroidered.
Okay.
And these are a series from White Sands, New Mexico. So what you can see in the pieces are landscapes that she mostly was running naked through, frankly, and or having clothes on. And then taking the pictures and doing the selection and then doing the embroidery. She just came back from another shoot there that has figures in it. So these are all no figures
Like
in
my
the
landscape.
yeah. And then the next series will have, I think there's 3 models that are engaged in various dance poses or otherwise throughout White Sands.
Yeah.
And
Very
then
zen also. Very
pardon?
zen feeling.
Well, yeah, that's also one of her practices. And then in here,
Beautiful.
there's 2 more pieces we're going to put up on the walls. As I said, you guys are getting the earliest preview.
I'm so
But she's
excited
also a
to get to see this.
ceramicist. So these pieces are like almost 2 feet tall, and she hand builds them. And then they're fired in her kiln in East Hampton.
She fired some herself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She does everything.
It marks all of the pieces with her hair. So this is not a brush.
Her
so
hair.
with her hair,
I
and then you
love
can see.
that. Is this
I don't know.
her?
Yeah, that's her.
Oh my God.
And then you can see like the
Nicole, next time we'll
the marking happening
This is so
on a piece there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we gotta show
Yeah.
this. That's fucking cool.
Isn't that wild?
I want to do this now.
Yeah.
I get my.
Get
This
those
is
brushes out.
awesome.
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
a fully creative life. You
This is good. I like it.
you mentioned you're into creativity in all ways,
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
everything.
are we.
I did
Yeah.
a lot with Art Basel a long time ago,
Yeah.
producing little segments and stuff. Cool.
Mm.
Well, thank you for sharing this. Oh, we should look at the windows real quick.
Oh, and come have a look just at the exterior. So this is the former Domino Sugar Refinery, and they kept the historic facade and built the modern glass office building inside. So it's really gorgeous how they did that.
I love this. Imagine, I want to look at this every day. That's so cool. Amazing. Amazing.
So happy to have you guys.
Yes.
Really
Thank you.
pleasure to meet
This
you.
was awesome. This was very unexpected and off the cuff. But
Off the cuff.
That's when you get the best stuff, you know?
Welcome to
Tea.
Brooklyn.